Egos have a bad reputation. They can cause leaders a lot of trouble. I'm talking about both the leader's ego and the leaders of the people they follow. Watch this video to why you must manage your ego rather than allow yourself to be managed by it. Hello, I'm Michael Broom, CEO of the Center for Human Systems. I help executives, leaders, and teams succeed. I've been doing it for over 45 years. Let me be your leadership and team guru too. In this video, we will explore egos and how we can manage them rather than be managed by them. In a future video, we'll also talk about how to deal with the egos of others. This one sets the stage for that one. Egos provide us with our sense or perception of identity. Nothing wrong with that, as long as we don't think it's who we are. We all have egos that shift in strength from strong to weak as we move through our days. Our egos typically slide along this continuum based upon how we are perceiving how well our lives are working. Our level of fatigue and health can also contribute. When our sense of identity and okayness is strong, we rarely need to defend our egos even when somebody may be attacking it. At those times we're certain about who we are, and regardless of what others may think, we may be just curious about the reason for their attack. The stronger our ego, the higher our sense of self-esteem. Our worthiness is not an issue. When our egos are strong, we turn difficulties into learning opportunities. We don't see them as failures. Therefore, fear of failure is not something that strong egos often experience. With a strong ego, our success or failure at some activity has nothing to do with our sense of esteem or identity. Hence, there's no need to be defensive or to have excuses when things don't go the way we want. With a strong ego, we maintain our sense of certainty about ourselves when others are stressed and uncertain. Rather than stress, we search for solutions. Such is the nature of us when our egos are strong. I remember working with the president of a university. His staff was fairly stressed out, but he was pretty mellow. I asked him, how did he maintain his mellowness given the stressful environment that the college existed in? He said, Michael, students are after me for things. Faculty is after me for things. The board of directors is after me for this and that. The community wants this and that. And when it begins to get too much, I just go fishing. So I go fishing for a week or two. I come back and guess what? All those issues are still there. But I'm in much, much better shape to deal with them. So yeah, when things get a little stressful, it's time for me to go fishing. We can think of our egos as weak when we are less certain about ourselves and who we are. When our egos are weak, we allow the winds of other people's egos and needs to blow us about as we try to appease them. As we try to appease those who want us to be whomever they want us to be. I remember working with the director of a significant part of the Smithsonian Institution. He was a guy whose ego just wanted to please everyone. So anyone that came to him with him wanting to go in a certain direction, he would agree with him. And if somebody else came 5 minutes later wanting to go in a different direction about the same thing, he would agree with them. That, of course, caused havoc in his teams. That was a sign of his weak ego. When our egos are weak, we often want to pretend certainty when it isn't there, as if we know what we're talking about. A client at a major TV station was into pretending that he was okay pretending that he was fine, that everything was going well as he postured around his TV station. When I asked him about that, he said, oh, he wasn't trying to look good, that he was trying not to look bad. Another weak ego. Often when our egos are weak, we attempt to hide our uncertainty with bluster, arrogance, lies, and other forms of hiding our uncertainty. They'd have a radio station I worked with had the habit of, when things weren't going his way, he would just jump up and rant and rave until everybody would go along with what he said. That's a sign of a weak ego that really got in the way, and why I was called in to help him out. Included in that last are the vehement arguments that we often find ourselves in from time to time when we are uncertain about who we are. Included in that last statement are the vehement arguments that we find ourselves in during the times when our certainty about who we are is not quite so certain as we might want it to be. I remember an argument I had with an ex-girlfriend. She had said something to the fact that I had done something dumb. Well, my ego wasn't very strong at that moment, and that offended me, mainly because my sense of ego, my sense of identity, was attached to how smart I was. And any challenge to that was a challenge to my sense of identity. I took her saying that I'd done something stupid as a challenge to my being smart, which had been at that point in time a major pop to my sense of self-esteem, especially when it came to personal relationships with women that I cared for. Think of the times when you have insisted that you were right, and certainly not wrong, at times when maybe your ego was not as strong as you would have liked it to be. It's sort of an existential angst that we've been taught to hide by our society. And if you are a leader, we've been taught that we need to be the strong, know-it-all authority figure that many of our followers see us as. This is the major cause of the imposter syndrome that way too many leaders suffer from. At such times, whether we want to admit it or not, our internal questions are, will I be okay? Will they find me out? Am I worthy? Bedevil us and drive us to behave in ways that take us away from the goals of who we are when our identity is clear and not in question. Let's talk about ego attachments. When our egos are weak, we have typically attached our sense of identity to some characteristic, such as my attaching my sense of identity to being smart. Being right, or rather not wrong, is certainly a key ego attachment. That was clear in my story about me and my girlfriend. My sense of okayness was clearly attached to my being smart, and certainly not dumb. Growing up as puny and asthmatic as compared to others, being smart was my way of having some semblance of self-esteem with the opposite sex. Being smart was my way of being right, of being okay. Unfortunately, whenever I thought I might be failing in some relationship, I pulled out just how smart I was and did a good job of documenting that. You can imagine how poorly that would go over. In my professional life, where I very much feel less threatened, I have no doubts about how smart I am. It simply is not a question, and I rarely need to prove it. To what characteristics have you attached your ego, your self-esteem? Many of the leaders I've worked with have attached their figures to their image of the know-it-all authority figures that many of their followers already see them as. That often leads them down rabbit holes that are not very useful to them, as I've already discussed. Strengthening our ego and loosening ego attachments is not necessarily difficult, but it does take consistent practice. The key practice is conscious use of self. Conscious use of self includes being aware of and acknowledging the attachments of our weak ego. That won't stop our weak ego from wanting to argue, defend, and or appease. But now we can, with deliberation, choose to obey that dictate or choose to behave in more useful ways as we might when our egos are strong. It helps to remember that our egos are something we have. They are not who we are. It's having identified ourselves with our egos and our ego attachments that can cause us so much difficulty. Our egos are not who we are. They are something we have. It's like we have hands and we manage them. We don't let our hands manage us. It's the same with our egos. We need to manage our egos, not be managed by them. You need to hold on to that. To do that also isn't easy, and we need to recruit our friends and colleagues to kind of pull our coattails when they see us being managed by our egos, so that we can begin to stop, pause, take a breath, regain our ego strength. With the help of our support systems, we can always remember that we are not our egos. They are something we have. They are not who we are. It also helps to regain our ego strength through physical exercise and a good night's sleep. Relaxing time with good friends, getting lost in reading a good book, or taking a walk in the woods can also be of enormous help in regaining the strength of our egos. In summary, we all have egos. They define our sense of identity. Our egos move between strong and weak depending upon circumstances and our past experiences. When our egos are strong, our self-esteem is high and unassailable. Insults have something to do with the person offering them, not us. Difficult situations trigger problem solving rather than stress. When our egos are not so strong, we too easily perceive the need to defend ourselves when we perceive some attack. That's when we need to remember that our egos are something we have and not who we are, and that we must manage our egos and not be managed by them. Please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe so that you'll be informed of our new videos as they are published. And next up, our video will talk about the more you are the master of your own ego, the more you can withstand the assault of other egos and in some cases help them manage their own. In the next video, we were going to take a look at how to deal with the egos of others. Very intriguing and of course very useful.